He's looking for a guy like Jose Alvarado, like Moses Wright, to step it up for the Ramblin' Wreck.
But when you go against NC State, you know you're going to see full court pressure. There's an extra guard in the starting lineup for Georgia Tech, and DJ Burns is going to get the start after coming off the bench the last 3 games for the Wolfpack.
Rodney Howard all over the place, and NC State controls the tip. And you see immediately the 1-3-1 from Josh Pastner. Kevin Keats talked to us earlier today, Debbie, about the fact that, of course, Georgia Tech will mix up their defenses.
Well, you know they're going to give multiple looks, and they change the top of that zone, and they change the way they rotate with different looks. It is really tough to study. You got to run your man offense, and you got to move the ball and try to get them in rotation.
And Georgia Tech starting their 8th starting lineup on the season. As Debbie mentioned earlier, Kyle Sturdivant back into the starting lineup, started the first 8 games of the season and his first start since. And Sturdivant lets one go early and is on the point, knocking down the 3 ball.
For a team that has struggled to score all season, that can't be a better start for Georgia Tech. Getting Sturdivant to get going outside the arc.
DJ Burns with the look inside the zone, off the mark, and Sturdivant pushing the basketball. The easy one to Jalon Moore, getting the easy bucket. That's one of the things that Josh Pastner talked to us about. They needed more transition buckets.
Well, they have to find some easy offense, right? They've been struggling to get to the number 70. In ACC play, they're averaging less than 70 points a game, closer to 65. As Terquavion hits a big triple.
And that's the thing, Debbie. It doesn't matter where he is on the floor. You have to account for 0 in red. Terquavion Smith, he had 18 points in the first half of the game here last year. Got off to a great start here as well.
On that uphill pass, that's the one that Jarkel Joiner's got to get.
This is where Kevin Keats really loves Joiner, defending the basketball, but another bucket in the paint. Coleman to Moore, who gets his second bucket here on the evening.
A 3-for-3 start for Georgia Tech. That allows them to set this defense when they make NC State take it out of the net.
You know, that's the one thing, of course, with Josh Pastner. He relies on the defense. He knows they're going to be solid on the defensive end of the floor. As Terquavion Smith lets another one go, unable to finish it, but the offensive rebound for Casey Morcell, who lines up the 3 ball, unable to knock that down. Multiple chances for NC State doing the job on the offensive glass. Joiner for 3. Unable to get it. Normally 2 for $1 works. This time the Wolfpack got 3 for $1 and get it back once again.
That's why you got to get on the glass against Georgia Tech, because it is harder to get organized in that zone if you get offensive rebounds and kicks to the 3-point line. There's Terquavion on the possession before, knocking down a triple for the only basket early on for NC State.
And you made a great point, Debbie, where you talk about getting organized in the zone. That's knowing exactly where Terquavion is at all times. A scramble underneath. Basketball will go in the direction of Georgia Tech.
You know, Corey, when we were talking earlier about what did Georgia Tech have to do to win this game at home, and one of the things was scoring early to gain confidence, set that defense. Josh Pastner is so good at changing the rhythm of the game with the defensive looks that he goes with. I even saw him working on some junk today. Don't be surprised if we don't see box and 1, triangle and 2 at some point.
One thing you know for certain about Josh Pastner, he will mix it up as Kyle Sturdivant's off the mark. And Kevin Keats imploring his guys to get out and run, especially off of missed shots. You don't want to allow Georgia Tech to try back and set up their defense.
Well, and DJ sprints back to the top of the floor where he sets that drag screen. That's where the foul occurred. You know, DJ Burns has been coming off the bench the last 3 games. He's coming off a career-high 7 assists for NC State. He really passes the ball.
He really does. DJ, I talked to him about that earlier today. He said, hey, what are you doing with all these assists, man? He talked about, you know, I can drop dimes when I want to.
He also can Barkley you know, back you down, back you down, back you down.
He's built for that. He's built for that. Jalon Moore playing with confidence early. 2 buckets for him. Rodney Howard getting inside, going against DJ Burns. But another chance for offensive rebound. Georgia Tech 3rd in the ACC, over 11 offensive rebounds per game. That's one of the things that you have to account for at all times.
Yeah, and I like getting a ball to Josh Howard early. Like, establish him on the baseline. See if he can get 2 feet in the paint and back DJ Burns down. Put some pressure on DJ on the defensive end.
And Ebenezer Dewana not making the trip. So, of course, NC State now down 3 front court players with the injuries that they have on the season. More minutes for DJ Burns in this nice find.
When Georgia Tech plays through the elbows, they have one of the better cutting games in the ACC. Look at this basket cut. Terquavion Smith doesn't jump to the ball. This is a great delivery by Howard and a terrific timing play by Georgia Tech.
And Debbie, one of the things, of course, you and I know very well, way back in the day when we were playing basketball, when you play against a team that pressures you and denies, the back door is always going to be a look. Josh Pastner has his team prepared for that here this evening. Terquavion Smith from way downtown.
Hey,
we might want to call that Midtown.
I told you that he was warming up from the logo. I'm going to have to get my tape measure out in the first half. We might have to go out there at halftime and measure that one.
I tell you what, I used to be able to maybe give it a shot from there. Now I have to throw the basketball to get it to the rim from that far away.
For real, we're going out there and measuring.
Oh, you got the tape measure for real?
I'm not kidding. I've carried this thing with me for 20 years.
I tell you what, it doesn't get any more official than Debbie Antonelli on the 1s and 2s. Jalon Moore once again on the inside, and the basketball coming in out of bounds. Miscommunication from the Wolfpack. It's in play. Miles Kelly picks it up and scores the bucket. The Rambling Wreck with a 7-6
our early score. Georgia Tech 6 for 8 from the floor. And NC State's had Terquavion Smith provide a couple of threes. That one from the logo, and then I don't know what you want to call this, Corey. A lack of focus, a miscommunication. But Miles Kelly is in the scoring column based on his heads-up play right there, and one to go to the free throw line.
We'll call that either oops or whoops, but either way, it's got Greg Gant a seat on the sideline watching what's going on right now as Ernest Ross gets his introduction into this game. Had a big game, 17 points for him against Miami, a career high, 8 of 10 from the field. And right now, Josh Pastner going to stick with the 1-3-1 zone. It's been working outside of Terquavion Smith. No one else with a bucket yet. And a steal for Kelly, who gets the layup once again. And you have to appreciate the defensive effort from the from Georgia Tech here early on a 10-4 run.
Well, first of all, Jarkel Joiner can't just dribble over midcourt and pick it up. I mean, that's feeding right into the trap. And there's DJ with a drop off.
And Ross picking up where he left off. And these two guys, DJ Burns and Ernest Ross, they were the stars in the game versus Miami, where the Wolfpack got a big win at home at PNC. But Jalon Moore now with his 4th field goal here to start the game.
Georgia Tech is getting whatever they want offensively early on. Their defense is working. There's a miscommunication.
But that goes back to what you were talking about previously with DJ Burns and his passing ability. Whenever you play against a zone, it's important to have a guy in the middle of that zone that can make plays. As Joiner comes up with the steal and the finish and the foul. And that's what Kevin Keats loves so much about Jarkel Joiner. We can talk about his offensive numbers all day, but it's what he does defensively that he loves most.
Incredible ball pressure, nose right on the ball, great anticipation. Kyle Sturdivant has been known to be stripped at midcourt a couple of times this season already. Remember we were talking about that before the game? Like we thought, how are they going to handle the pressure of NC State? They got to have a third guard on the floor. Sturdivant's known to turn it over. That's a scouting report steal right there.
It absolutely is. And Sturdivant now out of the game having a conversation with Josh Pastner on the sideline. But you see NC State picking up the pressure and going to find someone to be able to go after. If Debo Coleman's going to be the primary ball handler, they're going to heat him up.
That's exactly what you want out of Georgia Tech. You know they're going to be frenetic defensively with their effort. If you can speed them up on the offensive end, you make them uncomfortable.
And Davon Smith stepping into the game at that point guard position, but even still, even though you don't take the basketball from him, you force a bad pass. Another turnover for NC State as DJ Burns was anticipating Casey Morcell cutting to the basket, but no cut, ends up in a turnover.
That's where DJ sees the game like a guard, right? He has vision on the top of the floor. He understands the zone. He sees the angles, sees the lanes in the zone. Not many post guys can do that.
They really don't. Talk with DJ prior to the game. I said, do you know Debbie Antonelli? Oh, as Jalon Moore has gotten off to a great start. Double figures for Moore already in this game. I asked DJ, I said, do you know Debbie Antonelli from South Carolina? He says, not really personally, but I know a lot about her. I know who she is. You're a superstar, by the way.
Oh, no, I know a lot about DJ. I like talking about him. Oh, my goodness. Is Ross going to drop some triples on Georgia Tech?
And I believe that's the first three-point field goal made for Ross on the season. I want to say he came in 0 for 2.
You know what? The 4 players at NC State have gotten so much better. Not just their ball screen defense, but Ross is playing with a ton of confidence, coming off that huge game he had against Miami.
And a block shot in the corner by Terquavion Smith. Another opportunity for the Wolfpack to get out in transition. The extra pass from Smith to Morcell, unable to knock down the 3, but a good look for Casey Morcell in the corner. Debo Coleman getting a good look from the top of the key. Doesn't go down, but another offensive rebound for Georgia Tech. And Davon Smith comes in averaging close to 6 rebounds a game coming off the bench at the point guard position.
I mean, he's listed at 6'1", but I think he's barely 6 feet, and that just speaks to what a great rebounder he is.
Look at the pressure from Ross, ending up in the steal from Joiner, the layup, and just like that, it's a one-possession game. Kevin Keith spending a lot of energy on this sideline. You can tell how important a game this is for the Wolfpack. Casey Morcell with the block. Moore has had his way in the painted area, but not that time. Casey Morcell standing his ground defensively.
Ever since that timeout Kevin Keats called, his team has been higher level energy, better connected, harder working, a refocused group, and that score was 13-6 when we went to break, when they had that timeout. Now it's just a two-point game.
Yeah, the Wolfpack on a 10-2 run right now, an opportunity to tie or take the lead on this possession. After a tough start, Kevin Keats has to be happy with the energy and the effort he's gotten from his guys in the last 4 minutes. Nice find underneath. And the Wolfpack bench wanting a goaltending on that possession as Ernest Ross cuts back door. The nice find from Terquavion Smith.
Well, that was not a makeable shot, kind of like in football, right? It's uncatchable, so you're not going to call play on that. Roger Ayers is having a conversation with Kevin Keats right now. Because of where our location is, right here next to Kevin, we're watching Coach Keats work up a lather here on the sideline.
Yeah, he's getting it in over here, Debbie. Of course, when we come to McCamus Pavilion, we have the opportunity to sit right beside the visiting team bench, so we have a little more insight as to what's going on. Here's Saturday's college basketball doubleheader. Matt Cleveland leads FSU against Jamarius Burton and Pitt in our first game at 3:30 Eastern. Then it's off to the Dean Smith Center for Caleb Love and North Carolina hosting Terquavion Smith and NC State in another Tobacco Road rivalry matchup. Should be a great afternoon of hoops right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app.
Right now, Joe Lunardi, 7 teams projected to the NCAA tournament, 2 on the bubble. Big game tonight, Corey. Clemson on the road at Wake Forest right after us.
Debbie, I think it should be more. I think Wake Forest should already be in that mix. And honestly, I think Syracuse is a team that's getting back as Smith makes another great defensive play, his second block on the evening.
Let's come back to that because I want to talk to you about Syracuse. I agree with what you're saying.
We got a good one.
Back with a 1-point lead, 11:42 to play, left in the first half. This is the bracketology according to Joe Lunardi that came out today, Corey. 7 teams right now projected. You see NC State projected as a 6 seed. I've seen them as high as a 5. And then being considered Virginia Tech and Wake Forest, but you and I both like Syracuse.
I like Syracuse. I think what Jim Boeheim's group is doing this year has been incredible when you consider where they started and what they're doing right now, the way that they're playing. And with Syracuse, that team continues to get better. I think they're going to be a great team. Well, I shouldn't say great, but a really good team at the end of the season. And I think that's something that should be taken into consideration.
I think Jesse Edwards has been the key for them. I mean, if they had Jesse Edwards last year healthy with the Boeheim boys, I think they would have made a bigger run at the end. But I like his game a lot.
Career high 25 points last night for Jesse Edwards in a game that Syracuse led pretty much the entire second half. Miami coming back at the end to win that one. But, you know, that's not a bad loss. Miami is not just a good team, but a very good team. Every Thursday night, women's basketball takes over the ACC network. This week, Diamond Johnson and number 20, NC State, host Haley Cavender and Miami at 6 Eastern. Then it's the rivalry matchup between number 13, Duke, who's 16-1 and 6-0 in the ACC, and number 17, North Carolina, led by Deja Kelly, averaging 16 points per game, 4 boards, and 4 dimes. Should be another good night for women's hoops on ACC Network and the ESPN app.
Miami, Katie Meyer's team, they've won 5 in a row. NC State's lost 4 out of 6. Reynolds Coliseum will be sold out. The Wolfpack better show up.
I was talking about that with my guy, your guy, Dave O'Brien, on Saturday, and I love the fact that the women's programs at NC State and at North Carolina play in Reynolds and Carmichael respectively. I think it gives a great atmosphere for 2 great women's basketball programs. And I know you guys get to go in there and do games. You had a big game last Saturday at Carmichael, right?
Right. North Carolina sold out Carmichael Arena, first time since 2015. Knocked off NC State, who was higher ranked at the time. And North Carolina's putting it together. Courtney Banghart lost 4 in a row. They've won 3 in a row. This is a big game for them on Thursday against Duke.
Now, I tell you this. You are the czar. You are the mentor of mentors when it comes to broadcasting, when it comes to television personalities, media personalities, etc. Have you got your hands on Deja Kelly yet? Because she is a star in the
wonderful.
making.
Yeah, she's a big-time player, too. She is the energy of North Carolina. She'll play well on Thursday night.
Speaking of playing well, Rodney Howard continues to play well, shooting at a high clip. The tip in for him off the offensive rebound. And that's an area where Kevin Keats came in concerned about this Georgia Tech team as DJ Burns gets his first field goal on the evening once he gets inside the middle of that zone.
You let him get to that right shoulder over that left hook and forget about it. I mean, no one can guard it.
You know, DJ was a guy that reclassed up, went to Tennessee out of high school, of course, made the transfer to Winthrop as Rodney Howard knocks down his second straight bucket. But I like seeing DJ Burns with Kevin Keats, and he's not necessarily the style of player that Kevin Keats normally goes after, but he's fit in very well with the Wolfpack.
I mean, right now, Georgia Tech has elected to play him straight up, and NC State's getting him the basketball right here on the elbow. And
he has been dropping dimes. A missed opportunity right there, mishandled on the pass, with 3 assists already for DJ, but the 7th turnover for NC State here in this first half.
You know what, Corey, I think people forget that DJ was in high school with Zion Williamson and Ja Morant, and then there was DJ.
Yeah, I remember. DJ, but DJ was an EYBL guy, though. He was on the Nike side while Zion was playing with the 3 stripes.
You know, Jeff Gravely at NC State did a great interview with DJ the other day about, you know, how much he loves NC State, how much he loves the fans. They were chanting his name the other night for the Miami game. He loves it.
And Debbie, I'll tell you, I've known DJ since he was a freshman in high school. His personality has not changed. He was this guy way back when he was 14, 15 years old. Got to stop that guy early. You cannot give Terquavion Smith that look. Georgia Tech dodging a bullet on that one.
I think what makes Terquavion such a good shooter is his footwork. He's got great range. He's got great confidence, but he gets into the rhythm of his shot very quickly because he has excellent feet.
I agree with you wholeheartedly on that, and I will add one thing to it, his confidence.
Yes.
He's got it. Speaking of confidence, Jarkel Joiner has it as well, and Rodney Howard on for Georgia Tech playing with a lot of confidence on the offensive end of the floor.
NC State going with a really small lineup on the floor right now. 4 guards and DJ Burns.
And you know as well as I do what that opens up is opportunities to offensive rebound. Javon Franklin on the floor now for Georgia Tech, one of the better offensive rebounders in the ACC, so it's going to be interesting to see how they keep him off the glass. Casey Morcell sidestepping, knocking down the three, coming in shooting 45% from beyond the three-point arc, one of the best in the ACC from a percentage standpoint. And he's really been a great addition to NC State after transferring from Virginia.
Kevin Keats calls him a workout warrior. He's the first guy in the gym, he's the last to leave, and he's really improved his game.
This has been the guy for Georgia Tech in the first half. Jalon Moore already in double figures, going to the mid-range, a little hard off the glass, but no defensive balance, getting back as Joiner pushes it, but a big-time block by Terquavion Smith covering up the rim.
This is a tough transition right here for the Wolfpack. It's a two they don't get on the other end, and it's a foul on DJ on the defensive end. Jarkel on the push. Look at the closing speed of Smith.
Have changed.
Well, what changed for NC State is their defense, right? They picked up the intensity. Jarkel Joiner got a couple of steals, made a couple of layups. Terquavion Smith has hit a couple of threes. And Georgia Tech was playing through the elbows. They were playing inside out. They're doing a good job of getting to the free throw line here in the first half.
And you mentioned Georgia Tech. This was exactly the start that they needed. 20 points in the first 6 minutes of this game. They've stalled since. But Josh Pastner talked to us about how important it was for them to get off to a good start. One of the reasons why he made the change, their 8th starting lineup of this season, getting Kyle Sturdivant back in the starting lineup.
The detail, the precision that Josh Pastner ran through shoot-around today was amazing. Just the different looks defensively, what he's thinking about when the ball is dead, when the ball is live, what he wants to call. They like to run Princeton, but he's got to call some sets. I mean, it's fascinating.
He's admittedly a repetitive repeater. He likes to go over things. He likes repetition and wants to make sure that his guys get it, whether it's him saying something or doing something, as DJ Burns gets his second bucket, driving past Howard on the interior of that zone.
Breon Pass has done a really good job defensively. He was stuck on a bigger guy before the timeout. Now he's got Terquavion Smith.
You would expect for Breon Pass to, of course, be a great defender, great feet, coming off the gridiron, of course, where he was a two-sport star, getting beat on the back door on that possession. And we've got a little bit of a mix-up, no harm done. But Terquavion Smith on the back door finish.
I mean, that is so quick. Again, it's a nice leave by Howard. That's the second time Georgia Tech has been able to get that exact cut. And look at the hops on Smith.
And Debbie, you've been doing this longer than I have, and you've covered this ACC for a long time, so you can think back to Ben Lammers making those same plays right there at the top of the key when Josh Pastner first took over here at Georgia Tech, and you see Rodney Howard showing off his passing ability as well.
You know, Josh mentioned Ben today, actually, about facilitating through the elbows and how much he missed Ben.
Terquavion Smith attacking the basket once again.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Breon's got to be raising his hand on that, Corey, because DJ's in the vicinity. You can't get another foul on DJ.
But that's why I mentioned you as one of the best basketball minds. That's a vet move. Breon Pass is the sophomore right now. He may not recognize that yet, that he has to be the guy raise his hand and take that foul to keep the big fella out of foul trouble.
You know what, Corey, back in our day, we had to raise our hand. They don't do that anymore. I never raised my hand.
Every Thursday at 10 Eastern, right after our women's basketball doubleheader, the Nothing But Net crew will break down the night in the ACC with highlights and analysis of every women's game. And look ahead at the best games on the schedule in the coming week. That's coverage you can only get one place, right here on the ACC network and the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere.
And that's just great patience by Jarkel Joiner in the two-man game. They are always looking for each other, Joiner and Smith.
Yeah, these two guys play very well together. You would think that they've had much more experience than they do, but I can remember them coming in on media day and just seeing the way that they've already bonded early, and you can tell that it's matriculated onto the floor.
Rodney Howard's having a heck of a game.
He really is.
His stat line is outstanding. It's 5 assists.
And right now, Georgia Tech is damaging NC State points in the paint. That has been the struggle for the Wolfpack. And we have to mention Ebenezer Duana not here, unable to make the trip. And he is the rim protection for the Wolfpack. Without him on the floor, you see Georgia Tech has made a concerted effort to get that basketball in the painted area. A 22-14 advantage points in the paint.
I mean, I'm not saying that DJ needs to rest on the defensive end, but he's got to be careful. Like that right there. You can't pick up a cheap one reaching in.
But you know as well as anyone, most fouls come from fatigue. When you're tired, that's when you commit those silly fouls. Being out in the wrong positions, Casey Marcel comes up with a great defensive stand.
Well, you want your perimeter defense to be really good so you don't put pressure on DJ and let them get to the second level.
Nice find from Smith to Terry in the corner, unable to knock it down. Now, Debbie, of course, you watch as much basketball and break up down as much film as anyone as Joiner gets an easy bucket, blowing the doors off of Terry, getting the easy one. But when we come back, I want to talk to you about Terquavion Smith. Does he settle for jumpers too much because he's such a great shooter?
Stitch Fix. When you don't have time to shop, we'll do it for you. Tell us your style, size, and price range. We learn what you like and what you don't. Then, our style experts deliver clothes that match your vibe and fit your wallet. With Try Before You Buy, keep what you love and send back the rest. Plus, shipping and returns are on us. It's the easy way to get pieces that fit. Stitch Fix. Get $20 off your first purchase.
Back at McCamish Pavilion, and earlier in this game, a basket that was given to Howard was taken away and actually given to Franklin. So there's going to be a change in the scorebook on this one. But Debbie, we talked about Terquavion Smith, a great shooter. 96 made three-pointers a year ago as a freshman, third all-time for a freshman in ACC play. But he has the ability to attack the rim and score off the bounce. Does he settle too often because he is such a great shooter?
When he catches in rhythm and he doesn't put it on the bounce and try to create on his own, you know, just to pull up for a jump shot, I think that's when when the ball gets stuck, that's when he has a problem. When he catches it on a reversal and he looks to make a move quickly, I think he can take any shot he wants.
And he's one of those guys, as Rodney Howard knocks down another bucket, and he's had success in this one. But Terquavion is one of those guys, even though he's right-handed, he jumps off of his right foot, dunks left-handed. We saw that a lot from him during his freshman season. A number of times here on this court as DJ Burns misses the look on the inside. He has the ability to attack the basket and finish. I would love to see him do it more often.
Well, it depends on if Jarkel's on the floor. Jarkel's on the top of the floor. Terquavion's on the wing. Now, people got to remember, Terquavion also leads the team in assists.
Speaking of finishing.
How about Jalon Smith, man? I mean, he comes off the bench. He's energetic. He's bouncy. He's aggressive.
And he can finish at the rim. We talk about his ability to go upstairs. Casey Marcel driving to the rim, unable to finish, but DJ Burns right there. Johnny on the spot with the second chance opportunity. But Debbie, you talked about it earlier. DJ Burns has played a lot of minutes in this first half, and he's visibly winded right now. Put him in tough position when you put him in that pick and roll action.
Yeah, this is a foul you have to call. It's unfortunate because it's a loose ball, but it was a takedown at the 50-yard line. And Davon Smith, turn the corner, young man. Throw it down. Just
for both these teams, NC State at home versus Miami in an overtime win scored 52 points in the paint against the U. And conversely, here on their home court, Georgia Tech only scored 16 points in the paint against Pittsburgh on Saturday. Pittsburgh scored 30 against them. And it's been a reversal of fortunes this evening thus far, Debbie.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with Howard facilitating the offense through the elbows. Look at the numbers. 3-point goals last game against Pitt. They made 12. Tonight, they've just made 1. NC State is doing a good job of guarding the 3-point line. But I think NC State's got to keep moving the ball, keep attacking, keep going inside out, and playing through DJ.
I agree. DJ Burns making things happen when he gets his hands on the basketball in the painted area. Another opportunity for DJ after the break. Moves Rodney Howard out of the way. Going to that left hand once again, able to finish.
I mean, deep in the shot clock. Throw it in there and he can bail you out.
You know, and such a smart player. He's recognizing, of course, DJ told us earlier, send the double team. Come on, I want you to send it, because he likes dropping dimes out there. But if you don't send the double, he's going to win that matchup versus his guy man-to-man.
See, this is where Howard's got to swipe it and look to attack DJ. Swipe it through.
Absolutely. Jalon Moore continues to go to work in this first half. Georgia Tech has not trailed in this game, and Moore now with 12 points.
One of the things that Georgia Tech did really well in shoot-around today is accelerate through their action in the quarter court. I think if they can continue to cut, work hard, playing right there again off through Howard.
Yeah, nice cut by Smith, unable to finish, but right now it's an advantage for NC State, and this is the guy. You got to find him in transition. Terquavion Smith attacking the basket, able to get it to go. One defender, not enough to stop Zero from getting two.
That's 10 points for Terquavion in the first half to lead NC State scores.
Told you earlier,
Debbie. That's what you're talking about, Corey, right? Put it on the bounce, look to attack.
I like to see him playing that way. Of course, he has the quickness, he has all the ability to score in many facets as Debo Coleman lines up the three, unable to knock it down, but the offensive rebound for Davon Smith and the opportunity to go to the free throw line and extend the lead for Georgia Tech.
Back-to-back double-doubles, points and rebounds for the point guard for Georgia Tech. And that's Terquavion off the bounce, taking advantage, crossing up his D, attacking off that closeout.
Such a great three-point shooter. Teams are going to run him off the line. So the more he mixes in those opportunities for him to attack the basket, and again, this is what I love the most. At game, he's down one, he's still smiling. This is a young man who has fun playing basketball. And of course, for old schoolers like me, not necessarily you, you're ageless, but at the same time, we appreciate seeing guys like that. Ask Terquavion why he had his shirt off earlier today in shoot around. He says, I am BGU, that's Big Guard U, and that's a big move from Big Guard U to get the first lead of the game for the Wolfpack. Miles Kelly from the top of the key, unable to knock it down.
A quiet first half for Miles Kelly, who leads Georgia Tech in scoring.
And Kelly is the guy that Josh Pastors talked about. When they have to play half-court basketball, they need for him to be aggressive. Josh Pastors, you know, he talked to us earlier about the fact that right now where Georgia Tech is struggling is they don't have that one guy like a Jose Alvarado who could just go off the bounce and go get his own. They're looking to find someone that can be a scorer for them in the half court.
Stay up there, get up there.
Draw two, move it. LJ Thomas is getting better every time he gets minutes from Kevin Keats.
Yeah,
he's
nice.
a bigger guard.
And you can see aggressive attacking the basket, strong enough to be able to get in there and finish. But I love his footwork and playing under control off two once he got in the painted area. Kyle Sturdivant, who knocked down the first three of the game for Georgia Tech, off the mark on that one. Now you see NC State wants to call the timeout. Kevin Keats wants to try to run down these final 22 seconds and get the best possible look as his team is taking a three-point lead with 22 remaining.
When you have auto glass damage, trust SafeLight. This dad and daughter were driving when they got a crack in their windshield.
It's okay. We'll pull over.
He wouldn't take his car just anywhere, so he brought it to SafeLight. We replaced the windshield, and recalibrated their car's advanced safety system. So features like automatic emergency braking will work properly.
All right, all finished. Wow, that's great. Thanks.
Stay safe with SafeLight. Schedule now.
Safe like repair, safe like replace.
Okay, Coach Antonelli, an important possession for NC State. Before heading into the halftime locker room, what would you like to see here from the Wolfpack?
I'd like to see the ball come into DJ and let him make a decision with it. I think you're going to know, you know that Georgia Tech's going to stay in that zone. They're going to trap on the top. I would draw 2, move it, play through DJ.
Right now, Josh Pastner showing a man-to-man look, switching it up, going into the timeout, thinking that Kevin Keats will draw up something to play against the zone, but Georgia Tech will morph into a zone out of their man-to-man.
It's a good adjustment. It's a good call by Coach Pastner. I'm still going through DJ. They had a foul to give. Oh no, they did. That's 1-1.
And that's a tough foul right there. You put Terquavion Smith on the free throw line with an opportunity to add.
Well, I like the adjustment by Josh Pastner. Mixing it up, last possession. Kevin Keats calls timeout. He changes his D. You get DJ Burns out now because it's a defensive possession after the free throws. You don't want him to pick up another one. He's just got one.
Great call, Debbie. And if I'm Kevin Keats right here, you make this second free throw, I'm thinking we go with some full court pressure, 7.2, see if you get a steal and a look, but to try to speed up Georgia Tech, take them out of whatever they want to do.
But get somebody on Miles Kelly because Smith is going to push.
And the substitution by Josh Pastner allows Kevin Keats to be able to get Breon Pass back into the game, taking Terquavion Smith off the floor.
Bringing Lance back on the floor as well, gives them another three-point shooter.
Javon Smith with an opportunity at the end of the half, unable to finish it. Great job defensively by Breon Pass as NC State ends the half on a 8-0 run over the remaining, the last 2:43 of the half. Casey Morcell getting the ball to Terquavion Smith, who continues to be aggressive, attacking off the bounce to finish. And of course, the smile to the partner carries around a tape measure. But this tape measure is your second tape measure because your original tape measure that you started doing that with is in the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. One, congratulations.
Thank you, Corey.
And secondly, that is spectacular. The fact I get this is the first time I've ever done a game with a Hall of Famer, by the way.
Well, listen, the product is the narrative. When I'm just enhancing the product by going out there and measuring how deep the threes are. Sometimes you just got to go out there and measure.
You have been enhancing the product for quite some time, young lady. And the game is better because of you.
Look, I love you too, buddy. We love the game. We love the people in the game.
Yes, we do. We work with a lot of great people and get a chance to call ACC basketball, which there is none better, as Jarkel Joiner gets inside and finds Greg Gant, who's able to finish on the reverse layup. And that is where the difference has been made for the Wolfpack in this one, attacking the paint, Debbie.
I think that's what they have to do is play inside out, get the ball to the middle, playing through that middle third of that Georgia Tech defense.
Sturdivant with the pass inside to Howard, who maneuvers around the basket, unable to finish, but another offensive rebound for Georgia Tech. Sturdivant from the top of the key, unable to knock it down.
And with DJ Burns and that one foul, I think he can get a little more aggressive in his defensive effort around the rim.
The turnover from Joiner. The 9th turnover of the game for NC State is Casey Morcell applying the defensive pressure to Miles Kelly at the top of the key.
They've done a really good job on Miles Kelly tonight, switching off on him. NC State likes to switch 1 through 4.
Kyle Sturdivant going to the mid-range, getting the bucket. And Debbie, I'm so caught up in getting a chance to work with you today, I forgot to mention, Jarkel Joiner with 3 turnovers has turned the basketball over for the first time in 5 games as another turnover for NC State. Joiner came into the game playing 143 minutes without a turnover over the past 4 games.
Kevin Keats can't believe the foul on Gann. I thought he got the ball first, and then I thought Miles Kelly tripped over the ball. Yeah, that's a tough one to go against NC State right there.
It is that. We've got a great crew on hand today, of course, led by Roger Ayers, who's the best of the best. Lee Cassell right there with him, and then Paul Sells joining out the trio today.
Yeah, sorry, Corey. NC State's got to do a better job of bumping that cut back door.
Debo Coleman attacking in the mid-range. Well, I was going to say the exact same thing that you said, so we'll just say great minds think alike. And it's better that you said it than me. NC State bringing that screen much higher. DJ Burns coming out close to half court to set that ball screen as Casey Morcell finds himself in the corner. Still 9 seconds remaining on the shot clock, but a strong attack from Casey Morcell. And again, he's another one of those guys who is a knockdown shooter. That's evident in his percentage, but can benefit himself and his team by attacking the basket even more.
One of the things Kevin Keats told us is Casey has gotten a little bit more comfortable playing at this pace, right? A faster pace, acceleration through their offense. Not just the up and down vertically, but playing in the quarter court a little bit faster, much more confidence because he's worked on his game so much in the offseason.
Tomorrow, the transfer portal closes, and our huddle crew will have a full breakdown of college football's top players who landed at ACC schools. Coverage begins at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app.
The portal closes? I didn't know the portal ever closed.
I'm sure there's some people out there wishing the portal would close forever. Kyle Sturdivant handling the basketball, being pressured by Joiner, and this matchup has been one to watch the entire night thus far. Joiner putting tremendous pressure on Sturdivant, trying to initiate the offense. You see how late.
Terquavion took a shot to the ribs. He's down. It's hard to tell from that angle exactly.
And Roger Ayers over at the table. The officials are going to use the under 15 timeout here to review the action as Terquavion Smith tries to gather himself. We have an opportunity to sit down through a timeout. He's walking around with his shirt off. If you're big guard, you got to be able to take a body blow. Got a little bit of a body blow from Rodney Howard coming off the screen right there, and it took him down. So the next time I have a conversation with Terquavion, we're going to talk about whether he's really big guard you or not.
You think that Terquavion has an ounce of body fat on him?
0. That's why he wears the number 0. Has no fat whatsoever.
I mean, and I don't think he ever gets tired.
But look at him, back smiling. That's what I love about him. Up off the mat, up off the canvas, smiling once again. Another offensive rebound for Rodney Howard, and that's going to be the second foul on DJ Burns. You talked about DJ staying out of foul trouble in that first half, but Howard getting great position to come up with that offensive board.
telling you, Rodney Howard, he's got 9 points. He's got 5 assists. Doing a fantastic job in this matchup right here, being a facilitator through the middle third of their offense.
And we came on air talking about the guards, but it's been a great matchup with the bigs in this one when you consider DJ Burns and Rodney Howard. Jalon Moore continues his excellent play in this game. Another bucket for Moore, going to the jump hook to make it a one-possession game. Terquavion Smith from logo range once again, unable to finish that one. Kyle Sturdivant with the rebound, and they push. Miles Kelly lines up at 3, unable to knock it down. That would have been a big bucket for the Yellow Jackets, Debbie.
Corey, NC State's got to stop playing just on top of the defense and quick shooting like that, not a pass and a quick shot. If you stay on top of the defense and you never play down inside or take the ball to the baseline, you never bring the top of that zone into the paint. Then you get the ball reversal and it opens up space on top.
And to your point, NC State's had most of its success throughout this game when they've gotten the basketball inside the zone. To DJ Burns allowed him to be the facilitator, correct?
You can go inside, you can go to baseline, short corner, somehow get behind the defense. That collapses.
Another nice pass from Burns. But Moore coming over, covering up the rim as Kyle Sturdivant gets out in transition, attacking the basket. Great job by Ross playing with those 2 fouls, staying vertical and not picking up the foul.
Kevin Keith was looking for goaltending on this play right here, but no, that's on its way up. It's not in the cylinder.
Amazing.
It's a good block.
I think it's a great block, and amazing how the energy on the offensive end and having success offensively has really changed things from Jalon Moore in this game, coming over, making a great defensive play, but he's got his confidence going on the offensive end of the floor.
Well, he's not a very good three-point shooter right now in his career. He can do other things to help the team win, and he's doing those things tonight. Rebounding, scoring in the paint, being aggressive, attacking.
Casey Morsell,
that's what I'm talking
corner
about.
3, you called it.
Okay, you stay on top and the zone stays on top, but if you can get some vertical push, whether it's off the bounce or passing to the corner, you can get behind the defense.
Well, and one thing, of course, you know this, we teach the young people at home, the most difficult place to guard when you're playing against a 1-3-1 is that corner, is those baseline corners. It's so difficult for whoever's playing that back line when the ball changes sides of the floor to be able to get out there and cover a shooter. Casey Morsell standing his ground, another great defensive stop. The kick ahead pass as Joiner is able to climb the ladder and go get the finish, the dunk. And just like that, NC State pushes it out to an 8-point lead. Defense leading to offense for the Pack.
Cranking it up, rev it up. The thing is that you not only have a good resume right now, you've got lots of opportunity for quad 1 wins inside the league moving forward.
Agreed wholeheartedly. You look at the next 5 games for the Wolfpack. At North Carolina, of course, that would be a quad 1 win if they're able to get that. Notre Dame at home, at Wake Forest, which would be another quad 1 win, and then home with Florida State. So, as you mentioned, a number of opportunities for the Wolfpack to continue to bolster that resume. And I can tell you right now, that Saturday matchup at the Dean E. Smith Center is going to be rocking when the Wolfpack enter the building. Shot clock not working on that possession. Kevin Keats here.
He's entertaining, right? It's been entertaining.
You know, that is one of the benefits of doing games at Georgia Tech, doing games at Clemson. You get an opportunity to be able to, you know, really see the coaching styles of the visiting coaches. Now, we don't get the outlook that we normally get being across the floor and getting to see the reaction from both benches, et cetera. But this is an additional perk to being able to sit right beside the visiting bench. And I can't tell you one game that I've done, especially in this building, where I did not have at least some conversation with the visiting head coach. Even Coach K here actually talked to me a little bit, asked me, Corey, was that the right call? So we've been through that a number of times here.
As long as they don't ask us how many fouls one of his players has or how many timeouts they have left, we're in good shape.
You would know that information, though. I talk too much to even pay attention to that.
I thought the game changed when Terquavion Smith came on the floor for Georgia Tech. I think he is a rhythm changer for them on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Tristan Maxwell getting inside the painted area, and another turnover for Georgia Tech. Leading the Wolfpack into transition, Casey Morcell in the same spot where he just knocked down a three, unable to get that one to go, as Jalon Moore corrals the rebound.
Not only did he get the rebound, there were 3 red jerseys around him. Oh, open three, Casey Morcell looks to the bench, my bad, that's a wide open three, it's a rebound and a sprint up the floor. See, those are the plays that can change the game, right? It could have gone from 8 points to 11, then you set your defense. Now Georgia Tech is at the free throw line, and Lance Terry is an excellent free throw shooter.
Here's Saturday college basketball doubleheader. Matthew Cleveland leads Florida State against Jamarius Burton and Pittsburgh in our first game at 3:30 Eastern. Then it's off to the Dean E. Smith Center for Caleb Love and North Carolina hosting Terquavion Smith and NC State in another Tobacco Road rivalry matchup. Should be a great afternoon of hoops right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app.
Good hustle by Morcell.
One of the things that I've really noticed, and this is the first time I've seen the Wolfpack live this year, Kevin Keith's group plays hard. They play a lot harder than they did even a season ago, where a lot of those 50-50 balls go their direction that they didn't get last year.
Oh, there's no question. I think they're, not only do they play hard, they play connected like that right there. I mean, Ernest Ross almost got his face taken off on that pass.
And that's the thing. If you're going to be a passer, throw it somewhere where your teammate has to catch it. You throw it at their face, they better catch the basketball. But the leading scorer in the ACC gives up what would be an easy look to get another look for his teammate in the largest lead of the game for the Wolfpack.
And this is a pivotal stretch right here for Georgia Tech.
Another push for Terquavion Smith, who has become so much better as a playmaker this season in comparison to just being a scorer, which he was a year ago, Debbie.
Well, that's one of the things Coach Keats talked to us about, right? Go to the NBA Combine. What do the guys tell you in the NBA? Become a better passer, become a better facilitator, right? Get better on your defense. We already know he's a dynamic offensive scorer, but he's added those other things to his game consistently this year.
He absolutely has, Debbie. I was at the NBA Combine covering for ESPN last spring, and Terquavion Smith in his first game at the Combine hit 6 3-pointers, scored 20 points, and we had Kevin Keats come up to the table afterwards, and I'm just looking at Keats saying, you know he's not coming back, right?
So did everybody that wears red, that roots for NC State, thought it was over.
Very mature decision by Terquavion Smith to come back, to get better, and I do believe that by winning, more importantly than anything else, he is enhancing his draft status heading into this year. Or if he decides to come out, he may stick around with the Wolfpack, and I know, of course, they would love to keep him in Raleigh.
Well, Jarkel Joiner's eligibility expires, and so does Mahorcic. And by the way, he's probably watching right now from the training room. Word is he spends 6 to 8 hours in the training room trying to get back because he wants to play.
And look off the mark for Terquavion Smith, who was on the floor as Jalon Moore contested that shot. Lance Terry attacking the basket and is able to get the bucket through the contact. An opportunity for the three-point play, a big basket right there, Debbie, for Georgia Tech.
Known as a three-point shooter, and watch Lance Terry gets his shoulders by the defender. That's how he can handle and absorb the contact. High off the glove.
Here at Georgia Tech, very exciting stuff for the fans, and we've got an exciting night around the ACC, Debbie.
Well, Baycott already with 17 and 15 in the game with 9 to play. Florida State in command on the road at Notre Dame. And, of course, I know you and I are both looking forward to that Clemson-Wake Forest game later when we're done.
Absolutely. And, you know, Armando Baycott, who wasn't even scheduled to play on Saturday at Louisville, had a double-double in the first half of that game and continues to add to his ACC leading double-double status tonight against Boston College. But the fact that he has rebounded from that ankle injury the way he did against Virginia is amazing.
L.J. Thomas off the back iron. Greg Gann and Ernest Ross both on the floor, Corey, with 3 fouls. DJ Burns has only played 5 minutes here in the second half.
And they've been able to rest them and keep them out of foul trouble as 4 opportunities already. A 5th look off from 3 for NC State. Got 5 looks from 3 on 1 possession. Unable to knock any of them down, but Kevin Keats continues to encourage his guys simply because they're battling on the glass and getting more shot opportunities than Georgia Tech.
NC State almost doubled their offensive rebounding in just that 1 possession.
Only 2 second chance points for NC State in this game, even though they've been crashing the offensive glass. And this is one where Javon Franklin can really be in attack mode against DJ Burns, who's back into the game like you talked about before, being able to catch at that free throw line, rip and attack DJ getting downhill.
Casey Morcell doing a great job staying vertical.
Joiner attacking the basket, getting out in transition.
Is that a second or a third gear right there? My goodness.
Whatever it is, it's fast. Now again, you got different type of cars, Debbie. Some of them can go really fast in second and third. Some of them need to get to 6th. But Jarkel Joiner, he's a guy that can get it done first gear. He's fast.
He has really changed the complexion of how NC State likes to play, right? Kevin Keats always wants to play full court press, on-ball defense. He sits right in a stance and he gets right in your grill every time. He's so disruptive on the defensive end. And then the pace that he pushes the ball with, that's why Terquavion loves playing with him.
I think that's even a bigger component, the fact that Terquavion has someone that he can go to for advice, someone he can look up to as a big brother who's been through the battles before to kind of encourage him and bring him along. That third dynamic is just as important as what he does defensively and offensively for the Pack.
DJ talking on that back row.
Jalon Moore unable to make the 3. And, of course, when you play against the Wolfpack, long shots lead to long rebounds and oftentimes get you out into transition. Joiner taking his time on this possession. Modern day basketball, Debbie. A 1-on-0 break. Miles Kelly stops at the 3.
It's a reach by Kelly. Lee Cassell had the same angle we had. That was a reach.
Agreed, wholeheartedly. Lee Cassell making sure as Kevin Keats was defensive sliding all the way out to talk to him before that call, made sure to let Kevin Keats know we got it. We're on top of it. This was a block. It was not an offensive foul on your guy.
Oh, my goodness. It's so fast. Explosive.
Absolutely. And again, when you are at a standstill and can still beat your guy, That's that quickness that you were talking about with Jarkel Joiner, and a dimension that he adds to this team that, quite frankly, they didn't have a year ago. Of course, Darion Sebron was great attacking the basket, but they didn't have a guy in the backcourt as a guard who was just flat out quicker than everyone else on the floor.
I mean, it's a hips and shoulders game, right? So you're trying to ice him and keep him on one side of the floor. You don't want him to reverse the ball. But his explosion and first step is so quick. Even if you try to square him off to the sideline, he still can get by you. Or if you're staying between him and the basket, he still can get by you.
And he has an infectious personality, I believe, that has trickled down throughout his teammates. You see how much fun they're having. We watched them in shoot-around. It doesn't get any looser than this group was. And Kevin Keys told us, win or loss, doesn't matter. These guys are going to be loose. They're going to be relaxed. And they're going to come out and play hard.
I mean, look at Joiner in a stance right there. And Moore, 2 for 12 2 for 17 coming into the game. That's back-to-back triples he's taken that he's missed.
Yeah, and again, oftentimes, you know, you tell coach I was open, and there's a reason you're open. The opposing team is leaving you open for a reason. They want you to take that shot. Easy bucket for Miles Kelly, the easiest bucket he's gotten here on the evening. It's been a struggle offensively for Georgia Tech's leading scorer thus far. Opportunity here for Georgia Tech to get it back into single digits. Third of it to Terry in the corner. And just like that, it's a 7-point game. Kevin Keys wants a timeout to talk it over. Georgia Tech with 8:40 remaining, not out of this game. They're not done yet.
NC State did not make Georgia Tech pay for their poor shot selection. They turn the ball over, take a quick shot. Yeah, Jarkel Joiner, we're admiring his explosiveness, but when you're going to get in there, you got to be able to make a play.
Yeah, and especially when it's your point guard. Because if it's Joiner attacking the basket, there's got to be communication with the teammates knowing who's going to be the guy back defensively, having that defensive balance. And there was no defensive balance on the last two possessions. Miles Kelly shot the three in the corner on transition one time, but this time he goes in and gets the bucket. Then Kyle Sturdivant with the great penetration, having his head up, finding Lance Terry over in the corner. Terry knocking down the three ball, and just like that, we've got a 7-point game. And of course, with that three-point line, games are rarely over with this much time left.
Georgia Tech averages 7 made threes. And they haven't made a bunch in this game. I've got them just making 1. But they are known for defending the three-point line, and they're back in this 1-3-1 again defensively.
Difference having Ross in the middle of that zone as NC State is 0 for 7 on their past few possessions. As Terquavion Smith gets the easy bucket. He was thinking of a highlight level dunk on that possession.
That was probably a smart play.
Thought about it again and just laid it up midway through. Miles Kelly with an opportunity, unable to get it. But Jalon Moore putting pressure on NC State on that offensive glass once again. The turnover from DJ Burns allowing Kelly to get out in transition. A nice find to Franklin. The finish. Once again, a 7-point game. Georgia Tech starting to score in transition.
Off their D, Lance Terry up the floor, advanced passing. Don't come easier than that.
Oh, here tonight.
Well, and it's allowed Georgia Tech to 20 points off those 12 turnovers. Turning the ball over in the live situation has allowed Georgia Tech, a team that struggled to score, to get some easy offense going the other way. You've seen a couple of dunks, you've seen the threes, only 2 triples in the game. But it's not how many you make sometimes, Corey, it's when you make them.
Yeah, Georgia Tech went 0 for 16 in between those 2 threes that they made. The first was the first possession of the game for Kyle Sturdivant. And then, of course, Lance Terry before we went to the break previously. As DJ Burns gets the basketball in his hands. And, Debbie, I always love to see when coaches feel their teams are struggling and they come out of a timeout, who do they go to? That's always a telltale sign as to who coaches trust. And you see Kevin Keats has trust in DJ Burns, making sure he got his hands on the basketball.
Yeah, that's the key word, right? ATOs, who do you trust? You need a bucket. You want to make sure you get this guy going. He has not been able to get going here in the second half. Ernest Ross trying to front. That's a great job inside by Franklin, working hard off the ball to get positioned deep in the paint.
And both teams going with bigger lineups as Ross picks up his 4th foul. Greg Gant will come back into the game to replace him.
Ernest Ross coming off a career high 17 and 9, played 22 minutes in that Miami game. He had some big rebounds in that game.
We got a 5-second call. Another turnover for Georgia Tech as Josh Pastner just puts his head down. The 8th turnover.
And what they're so good at is cutting, and they didn't cut. Or they didn't cut hard.
No, 4 turnovers each in this second half for both these teams. And right now, if you're Georgia Tech, this is an important defensive stand right here, trying to find a way to cut into this lead a little further. Terquavion Smith gets a look in the mid-range, unable to knock it down, but another offensive rebound as Casey Morcell comes flying in. No one getting a body on him.
Terquavion waves off the screen. He wants to go one-on-one. That's why. Lance Terry on him. He just clears it out.
Josh Pastner told us earlier, NC State has 2 guys that when they need a bucket that can go get one, Terquavion Smith and Joiner. He doesn't feel as though his team has that yet as Lance Terry gets in the middle of it, unable to finish. Rodney Howard, but another offensive rebound from Franklin and an emphatic finish.
When I thought Lance Terry was fouled, but this is the kind of momentum play that Georgia Tech needs. This is a big-time board and finish in traffic.
Javon Franklin, one of the best offensive rebounders in the ACC, showing off not only his offensive rebounding, but his finishing as well.
He leads this team in rebounding. Georgia Tech is over their offensive rebounding average. They've got more than 13 now. They average 11, which is 3rd in the ACC behind Duke, and Duke leads the ACC in offensive rebounding.
That's the 4th foul on Greg Gant. So now Ross and Gant playing with 4 fouls. Georgia Tech with 2 bigs on the floor, trying to exploit those mismatches in the middle and put pressure on NC State's defense. DJ Burns trying to back down Franklin. A nice pass from Burns to Gant, who's able to knock down the bucket, but the officials would go over and check to make sure Gant got that out of his hands in time. As Roger Ayers, Lee Cassell come over and check the monitor.
They counted it on the floor.
On the floor, it did count, however.
And this is good officiating because you can stop the game at this point because it's a scoring issue. In the first half, you may not have stopped the game. You might have looked at it later, but because of where we are in the game, you got to call time. You got to stop the clock, and they're going to say it's no good.
Yeah, any shot clock violations, they go right when the basket is over. As you see, the basketball in Gant's hands when that red light goes off on the backboard, which means that no bucket ends up being the defensive stop that Georgia Tech needs.
You go clock, light, horn. That's how you look at it. And that's what the officials did.
Yeah. You've been to officiating school, correct?
Yeah, I put the stripes on 3 times and called some games.
That's
rotated
big time.
in a 3-man crew.
I can remember when I was a freshman in high school, my God, John, a.k.a. Jimmy Spears, after a big game as a freshman for Waynesboro High School, I would have to get up at 8 a.m. and referee youth games on Saturday mornings. I knew that was not the life for me, Debbie.
I'm with you.
Shot clock down to 5. Howard with the basketball. Terry, that shot was blocked by Casey Morcell.
I mean, how solid has Casey Morcell been all game? We know he can shoot the 3. He's got a couple of those, but defensively, he has rebounded. He got a tough offensive rebound a couple of possessions ago. He's defended well.
I believe he's the perfect complement to this backcourt when you think about what Joiner does, what he brings to NC State. Of course, Terquavion Smith is a star, no question about that. But that steadiness that you talked about, that consistency from Casey Morcell, and of course a veteran. You know, his veteran leadership, I think he balances out really, you know, what is necessary in this backcourt.
You and I were talking about most improved players on our list in the ACC. Casey's on that list. Miles Kelly has improved 9 points per game. And then Sean Padula running the point right now for Mike Young until Rodney Rice is 100% and ready to go.
Yeah, you
right?
you like Rodney Rice coming in and being more of the ball handler.
I
and
do.
Putting Padula off the ball. And again, Rodney Rice getting back into the mix for Virginia Tech. Very important, especially with Hunter Couture still out. And that's really been the struggle for Virginia Tech as they struggled in ACC play. I'm not sure if people realize the importance of Hunter Couture and all the things that he does outside of scoring. But you're talking about the ACC tournament most valuable player a year ago. Without him, it's been a struggle for the Hokies.
Well, remember, Virginia Tech had a slow start last year at the beginning of the league, and then they win the tournament and go to the NCAA. So you can't worry about Mike Young's team, right? I mean, I'm not worried.
I'll tell you this, Debbie. I actually called the game a year ago, and it was late January where the change happened for Virginia Tech. At Florida State, Hunter Couture makes 9 3-pointers, and Sean Padula makes 6. They rout Florida State, and that was an upward trajectory for the Hokies. After that is another 3 off the mark from Miles Kelly, and the basketball will head back to NC State. Terquavion Smith, top of the key 3, and it is good.
He loves that matchup. He's seeing a big basket right now.
Debbie, I think he loves every matchup. I'm going to go as far as to say he doesn't think anybody can guard him, so he'll take his chances in any matchup. Another block shot for Casey Morcell, who continues to play stellar defense. And that's one thing about Casey Morcell, regardless of whether the shots go down, he's always going to give you that effort on the defensive end.
He is stuffing the right side of the box score tonight. Blocks, steals, rebounds.
Nice move by Lance Terry. Going off the opposite foot with the left-hand layup. A much-needed bucket to get this game back into single digits after a big 3 for Smith on the other end. DJ Burns inside. Terquavion Smith becoming a great playmaker, accepting the trap, getting the ball in the middle of the floor to Burns.
Untrappable, unflappable.
I love it. You made it up, I'm using it.
You can use it.
Thank you. I'll make sure to give you your credit.
NC State keeping the energy high, Corey. An 11-point lead for the Wolfpack as we head into the last segment of the game.
Looking to get their second road win of this ACC season. And of course, they already actually have a road win in their pocket to head back home.
The NC State Managers are undefeated in ACC play. 7-0. They won 79-74 last night. against the Georgia Tech managers. I think it's one of the great traditions that has developed in college basketball, that the managers play the night before in here under the lights with the big scoreboard and everything else. So for NC State, that team is Caleb, Garrett, Colt, Josh, Zach, Jack, Rudy, and Jackson. They call themselves the Pack of Mannies, the Pack of Managers.
I like it. Matter of fact, I think I love it. The Pack of Mannies. I'm good with that. And if you have never seen the managers' games,
it's hilarious.
Oh, my goodness. And again, they are so competitive. And you're thinking about there are no officials on the floor either. So you're talking about calling your own fouls, really getting after this. Terquavion Smith lines up, knocks down another three. The fist pump by Kevin Keats right here, recognizing that could be the dagger for this game as NC State extends to its largest lead of 14.
It's winning time, and that's Terquavion Smith time. DJ Burns moving his feet, getting the deflection.
Another turnover for Georgia Tech. Kyle Sturdivant taking the foul to stop the break. As Jarkel Joiner already had it in second gear, Debbie. He was thinking about putting it in third. And we might have seen some fire come from his feet.
Well, NC State has shot 38% here in the second half, but it's their defense that's been the difference, and their rebounding ability and making Georgia Tech uncomfortable offensively.
Every Thursday night, women's basketball takes over the ACC network. This week, Diamond Johnson and number 20, NC State, host Haley Cavender and Miami at 6 Eastern. Then it's the rivalry matchup between number 13 Duke, who's 16-1 and 6-0 in the ACC, and number 17 North Carolina, led by Deja Kelly, averaging 16 points per game, 4 boards, 4 dimes. Should be another great night for women's hoops on ACC Network and the ESPN app.
8 of the 15 teams on the women's side have at least one win over top 10 teams.
Wow.
That's the most of any conference. That's how good the league is this year.
You know, this year, but it seems to be every year on the women's side in the ACC. Of course, we know what, my big sister Dawn Staley does at South Carolina.
Yep.
But when you look at overall depth of the conference, I would have to say the ACC has to be right there at the top when you think about all the programs. As you just mentioned,
yep.
8 programs that they win over a top 10 team this year.
There's no question. I mean, it's a competitive and as competitive as it's ever been. Every night you got to fight to win. And the coaching in the league has gotten really good. But NC State has dominated the last 3 years. They've won the ACC tournament. 3 consecutive years. That's hard to do, as you know.
It absolutely is difficult to do. Winning one is difficult to do, so imagine a three-peat. Kyle Sturdivant missing the free throw. And that's been a struggle for Sturdivant on this season. At the point guard position, when you look at the numbers for Georgia Tech, Sturdivant a 56% free throw shooter, and Davon Smith 52.2 coming into the game. That's one of the areas that's been a true struggle for Georgia Tech all season long.
Well, as Josh Pastner has talked about his team struggling to score, making free throws would be easy scoring opportunities. ATOs, they didn't score on all of those. Situational offense, really important for him, and he talked about that with us today.
I can imagine how coaches, when you come in to shoot around, love talking basketball strategy with you. See, they don't talk to me about that.
Well, why not? I mean, come on. One of the things that Josh and I talked about today was that, I thought he had a really great, interesting philosophical point about offense. 80% of offense is when the offense breaks off. It's unscripted, right? So the first 10 seconds of the shot clock, if you can get something in transition, that's unscripted. But then you got the middle 10, right? That's where you got to execute and you run stuff and you try to put your team in a position to score. But then when you get under 10, everybody calls for the ball screen, come out, and that's unscripted, like go and get a bucket, right? 80%. I thought that was very interesting.
You see, Josh understands your intellectual basketball mind. He talks to me about recruits.
That's why we're a good team then, Corey.
That's it. That's it.
Ernest Ross, nice show of sportsmanship right there, giving a fist bump to Coach Passner as he leaves the floor.
And that's going to be 5 on Ross, who didn't have a career high like he had last time out versus Miami, but still had a very positive effect on this game. 8 points for him, which if you take away last Saturday's game would be a career high for him. So he's playing great basketball as of late.
He is, and the 4 position between Duana and Ross and Gant has gotten so much better for NC State. Their ball screen coverage is better. Their ability to score on rim runs and drop-offs and putbacks. You know, DJ can make a post move. The other guys just need to do their jobs really well, and they are doing their jobs well.
Yeah, and we talked with Kevin Keats earlier today really about a new staff with Coach Keats, 3 first-year assistant coaches with them, and a change of philosophy going more so to a coordinator system as DJ Burns picks up the offensive foul. But Kevin Keats talking about, Joe Justice being the guy who helps them offensively. They talk a lot about offense, Joe Justice being more so the offensive coordinator, while Kareem Richardson and Levi Watkins are more so the defensive coordinators for the team.
Yeah, Levi not with the team, also. He hopefully will be back soon. He's not feeling well. Wish Levi gets better soon.
Absolutely, and Levi coming, of course, an NC State alum, but coming back home from Ole Miss, where this guy with the basketball had some success as well. So not only did Levi bring himself and his family home, he brought a pretty good point guard with him.
My goodness. I mean, that's just fun to watch.
On cue, Jarkel Joiner knocking down the mid-range, using the shot clock.
If people understood how hard it is to do what he just did, size up your D, explode past, stop and jump straight up. Sometimes he jumps backwards when he shoots his jumper. And it's incredibly hard to do.
The hardest part, and all those things are extremely difficult to do. And I agree with you wholeheartedly, but even more difficult is earning the trust of your head coach to be able to go do that in game action.
Great point.
Jalon Moore continues to play good basketball, and that's going to be the 5th foul on Gant. As Jalon Moore has reached a career-high 17 points and also a career-high 8 made field goals in this game. And that is the bright spot that's come out of this for Josh Pastner.
NC State's going to go to 4 in a row. Some that thought this could have been a trap game only because Georgia Tech has 1 win in the league. Need to think again. NC State played really well, and now they can get ready for the game over there in Chapel Hill on Saturday.
It's going to be some fun, and we have to remind our audience, last time Terquavion Smith went to North Carolina, he dropped 34 on the heels. It will be must-see TV on Saturday, ACC Network, Wolfpack at North Carolina, one of the oldest rivalries in the ACC.
Well, Corey, this has been fun, man. I've loved working with you.
We got to talk to our bosses.
The Corey cast.
We got to talk to our bosses. We need to do this again.
It's been fun. It's been a lot of fun breaking down the game with you and hanging out with you all day today. Huge win for NC State on the road.